Today, I'm needle felting some ornaments. Some assembly required. Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to make a little tutorial for some pretty simple needle felted ornaments. I wanted to make some cute things that were suitable for someone just sort of learning the basics of needle felting. I'm going to be making Santa, a penguin, and a snowman out of basic 3D shapes with a little bit of detail felted on. Well, let's get going. So first of all, here is my foam pad and my felting needle. I use a 38 gauge spiral needle just because that's my favorite. I'm going to make Santa first, so I'll try to shape this mill waist that I use as a core into a teardrop type of shape, sort of round at the bottom and pointy at the top. I'll give it a few pokes to hold it together and see if it's about the right shape, and then I can start to really felt it together all over. Here we are after a lot of stabbing. It does take a long time to get a good consistency, so try not to get too frustrated when you feel like you've been at it forever. For the core shape, you can certainly felt harder than this. It is still a little squishy, but I know I'll be covering this whole thing with another layer of fiber, so it will get a lot more felted. The next step will be to cover this whole teardrop shape with red wool. Ew, it looks like guts or a heart or something. That's a different sort of feeling than we're going for. Anyway, I like to tear off a piece and stretch it to thin it out, and then felt it onto the core shape. I'm going to lightly stab over each piece, and then I will add more, overlapping the edges as I go. As I am adding my layers, I'll extend the point on the top of the teardrop. Just let some of the red extend above the point, and then you can felt it on all sides against your foam block. You can make it as long as you want. I'm just having it about like this so it can droop over a little bit. There we go. My shape is fairly well covered. If you see any areas that look a little thin, just add a little bit of fiber on top to cover it up. Now, I'm going to really felt this surface tight all over. I'm poking absolutely everywhere and varying the angle of poking to really smooth it out. You don't have to poke very deep though. You're really mostly concerned with the upper layers. It does take a while to really smooth out the surface and get a consistent felting all over. But I think that all that poking is worth it in the end. Nice and smooth. Next, I will use a tan color for Santa's face. I'm going to make an oval right here. I'll pull off a relatively small piece and fold it into an oval shape. I'm going to felt it right onto our teardrop here, right around the middle. First, I will felt around to make sure it's attached, paying attention to the edges, although they will be covered, so they don't need to be perfect. And then I'll felt all over, changing my angle to make it nice and smooth. Nice! If you wanted an elf or that kid from A Snowy Day, you can stop here, but we're making Santa. So next, I will add some white furry trim on his hat. Lay out a thin strip wherever you like it, and then poke along to tack it down. I like to give it a little twist to keep the strip together as I go. And then just do the same thing all the way around and blend the two pieces together at the back. Now, this is supposed to be furry and fluffy, so we don't need to make it super smooth and flush with the red. So I'm just going to clean up the edges and make sure everything is even and well attached. Next, I'll use more white for Santa's beard. This can be even fluffier than the furry trim, so I'll just fold over a loop in a small piece and attach it to the edge of his face, kind of tucked under his hat. Once the top is well attached, you can gently poke to tack down the rest. And then do the same thing on the other side, trying to get it mostly even. When you're happy with the sides, you can grab another piece for the middle. I am going to poke a little bit along the edge to make it smooth along the top, like the mustache area. You can hold the wool between two small pieces of cardboard to protect your fingers. I'm just living on the edge here. Now, you can arrange your beard up on Santa's face and tack it down when it's where you like it. The mustache side should be felted in pretty well with a nice clean edge, and then the bottom can stay fluffy. You can poke little sections in, like little circles, to add a curly texture. Santa is looking so cute. I'm going to roll one more bit of white into a ball to make a pom-pom for his hat. Seems like a good size, so I'll felt around to secure its shape. You can keep his hat pointing up or droop it over. I like the look of it drooping, so I'll attach the pom-pom over here on the side and poke it so it really stays. Then I will bend the pointy bit over and attach it to the top of the pom-pom. Ta-da! Now it needs a face. I will grab a little skinny bit of black roving for eyes, a little tan for his nose, and pink for cheeks. Let's start with the nose. Roll it into a little oval shape. Again, you can hold it in between cardboard. Then you attach it right above his beard. Now tear off two small pieces of pink and felt them onto his cheeks. You can either make them little circles or keep them wispier for just a hint of color. Finally, for the eyes, pull off two small pieces of black, preferably pretty equal in size, and arrange them on Santa's face like little rainbows. When you're happy with where they are, start felting them in place. I started on the inside and moved out, making sure the ends weren't too fluffy. Ta-da! Santa! The next little guy I'm going to make is a penguin. He's going to need a base that's kind of a flattened oval, so let's make that. Yeah, something like this, kind of round on the top and flat at the bottom so he can stand up. Now to cover him. First, I'll use some white wool to cover his front. The white can spread out to the sides as long as it's pretty solid in the front. We'll be covering any extra with black around his tummy. There, something like this is pretty good. Now I'm going to try to poke an outline with my needle to see where the edges of the black should be. They're kind of hard to see, but I think that will help. Next, we'll add the black, starting from the edges we just outlined. I think the hardest part of this step is keeping the edges neat, but you can always add more layers to crisp them up at the end. So just kind of outline your edges along the front and tack down the rest to start filling him in. Once the black is filled in, you might have to go over the edges again to get them nice and dark. Then you can felt the black until it's smooth. Not too bad. Now, this is craft store wool just to show that it's possible to use whatever you have on hand, but it is a little hairy, not gonna lie. Now, I'm gonna use a little bit of orange to make a beak. First, I'm folding it into kind of a triangle shape, and I'll firm it up on the foam. Then I plan to attach it kind of sticking out like this. If that seems a little bit too challenging, you could make a little orange oval and just attach the end onto his face like this. But I'm going to go for it and try the bigger beak. Now, I'm actually going to use the cardboard to show you how to felt an edge. Just pinch your shape between two pieces of cardboard with your fluffy edge sticking out just a little, and then poke all along until it's as felted and smooth as you like. To attach his beak, I'm just going to hold it onto his face, centered how I want it, and then tack it down in the middle. And then I'll poke from the bottom. Finally, I'll bend the ends down a little bit on each side to round the beak a little bit. And I'll attach those. Next, I'm going to make two little orange circles for feet. Sit your penguin on top of his feet so you're happy with how it looks, and then tack them down lightly from the top. Now flip them over and felt them all the way down. Finally, he's going to need eyes and pink cheeks. First, I will grab two short pieces of skinny black roving. I'm going to attach them in a little U shape, starting from the inside and moving out, just like Santa. Next, I'm going to make two wispy pink circles and attach them under the eyes for cheeks. Ta-da! He's cute! If you wanted to add more detail for a little extra challenge, you could give him black oval wings or even a little hat. Now, for my last little guy, I'm going to roll this core wool into kind of a cylinder for a snowman. I think I'll actually add a little extra to the bottom so he can be a little chubbier. Now his core is felted all over and we can coat him with white. Just like before, I like a few thin layers better than one super thick layer. I think it turns out smoother that way. So I will just keep adding white until the coverage is good enough and I like the shape. Now I'm going to add little black circles to his face for eyes and a mouth. Next, I'll make a carrot shape out of orange. If you want a challenge, you can make it thicker so that it can stick out. But I'm going to show you what it looks like more flat on his face. I think he's cute like this, but I'm going to add some more details. Maybe a little heart on his tummy. You could also give him a little hat. Shape some fiber into a little cone shape on his head, and then felt it securely, kind of like how we made Santa's hat. And then you just attach it wherever you want on his head. I will probably tack this down in a minute, but first I'll add a strip of green for his scarf. I'm going to lightly felt it on my foam so it holds together. And then I'll wrap it around my snowman, attaching as I go. You can leave the ends fluffy to look like fringe. Finally, I'll make a little red pom-pom for his hat. Ta-da! That's a pretty cute snowman. You can make a lot of other ornaments based on simple shapes. You just make the insides, then cover them with some fun designs. I hope you liked this tutorial. Feel free to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for a ton more felting and craft videos. Click the all notifications bell so you don't miss anything. If you have any questions, just pop them in the comments. New videos come out every Saturday, so stay tuned for the next one. Be awesome, and I'll see you then. Bye!